Hello, it's T with Teresa H Creates, and welcome to my channel. I have another accordion binding tutorial today. This one's a little bit different. I did a tutorial a few videos back on accordion binding, and this is what that looks like. In this one, I created some signatures, and then I cut the center down to fit the binding inside of those pages in the centers, and then attached them securely by creating pockets and what is this, a flip out slash pocket in the middle of the signature to hold that tab in place. And so there's another method for adhering your papers into this accordion binding, and I wanted to show that to you. This one's a little bit fussier. I do like the look of it. I absolutely love this. I was less familiar with this way of doing it than I am with the way I'm going to show you in just a minute. So what I have is some double-sided tape. I have my bone folder. I have my chipboard that I'm using that I got from scrapbook.com. This will be the cover of my journal once I'm done with it. I also took a piece of 12 by 12 paper and I cut two strips of, so this is 4 by 12. I cut it into 4-inch strips. So this is 4 by 12 paper. I'm going to use this for my accordion binding. And then today I am using, for papers, I'm using this unique papercrafting graphic 45 charmed collection. This is not new. I think this is a little bit older. Let me see. This is 2022. So yeah, it's a couple of years old. But there are 3 sheets of each. I went ahead and pulled out 1 sheet of each to use for this project. I don't know how many I'm going to use exactly. I'm going to kind of make it up as I go along because, like I said, this one's a little bit different than the other one, this method. And this one is, I don't know, I just prefer to kind of play with it as I go. So I wanted to show you what these papers looks like. There you go. So I'll set those aside. I'll pull additional papers if I need them, but for now I'm just going to start with these guys. And then I also took some papers. It was black 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and I folded it in half. I cut it down to 7 by 5. That is what I am going to base my pages off of. So the journal will be 7 by 5 or 5 by 7. And let's get started. So these are my pages for the journal. I'm going to set that aside and then we'll get started with making the accordion because we cannot do anything until we actually have the binding. So let me get my large scoreboard here. This doesn't start any differently than the first one did. So I'm going to score at the 1 inch, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you guessed it, I'm scoring at 1 inch. I just prefer having the 1 inch for the accordion fold. It is just a personal preference. If you want a smaller tab in the center, then by all means, you do it 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. If you want a larger one, then you go 1.5, 2 inches. This is really, you know, personal preference. But I like a nice sturdy book. And for me, the 1 inch, it just makes the most sense. So I am scoring, and if you hear snoring, it is my new puppers. So we we rescued a new puppy this past Saturday. She's been with us for what, three days now, and so we are still in that puppy phase. She is 5 months old, but yeah, she's still very much a puppy. So we're learning all the things, but she's at my feet right now after a vigorous game of fetch. She is knocked out, so hopefully that lasts a little bit so I can get through this video. Now I am going to take my scored 4-inch page and I am just going to fold it on the accordion line, on the score line, to form this nice accordion binding. And this is a really good option, this type of binding, if you don't like sewing. And also a good choice if Now, I don't know why that ended up so short on that end. Huh. Let me start this in. Yep, that's 1 inch. Let me see where I got off. I got off somewhere. Maybe it wasn't a 12 by 12 sheet. Maybe that was my issue. You want to make sure you're getting it on that score line though. You're getting that fold. It's going to be important that it measure up. Yes, and that is not, so I must have had, let me see if it's the same here. Yep, and that's short too. So I am going to just go ahead and trim this off. Well, no, I guess it won't matter. I can leave it. So it looks like my page wasn't quite 12 by 12, apparently. It was just a tad shy of 12 by 12. So now that I've got my accordion binding here, I'm not sure how long I'm going to make this, how thick I'm going to make this book. So I can just keep adding and adding and adding until I get to a point where I want to stop. The only thing is that you want to make sure that you start with a valley, so valley side up, and also end with the valley. So you would want it to look like this with the end up. So let's set the first one aside. I'm going to go with the second. The second accordion fold aside, and I am going to start with this one. So in the other one, what we did is we took the signatures and we made a 4-inch slit right down the center, and then we plopped them into, we pulled these tabs into the center of that signature and then secured papers around it to keep it from slipping. In this method, it's going to be a little bit different. I don't have to cut that slit, so it's much, much easier. You can use different sized papers, you can use envelopes, you can use tags, you can use whatever you want to attach to this. This is a great project if you have just single sheets and they're smaller, things that you can't fold over to make a booklet. That is perfect for this. So let's get started. I think I want to put this little booklet in here like this. So this first part is where this valley right here is where my cover is going to attach. So I do not want to put anything there. I'm going to leave that free, but I am going to attach let me get this lined up. I am going to attach to this side here. So let me get my double-sided tape. It's right here. And I probably should have gone ahead and torn these and got these ready, but I'm never that prepared. I get ideas and then I just want to go for it. On occasion, if it's something that's completely new to me, I may practice it, but most of the time I don't. Even if it is completely new to me, I kind of just do it on the fly. It's just the way I am, and I don't know why. So unfortunately for you, you tend to get the good, the bad, and the ugly here, because if I make mistakes or if I screw things up, it's going to be completely visible. You guys are all going to know. I'm going to go ahead and apply some of my art glitter glue because I want it to be, I'm going to try to line it up in the center, and I want it to be a little bit pliable before it's permanently down. Okay, so this is 4-inch, this is 7. So I am going to try to center this up. I think that if I get 2.5 or 1.5 inches on each side, right? Because 3 inches, then I will get it lined up perfectly. So that is 3. And then I'm going to press that down. And now this tab is attached here to this side. And you want to make sure it's nice and in that groove. It's nice and flush in that valley there. Okay. So that is that side. Now, what I could do next is attach another one of these, right? I could attach it here to this flap like this. And then when you're opening your book and you're going through, you're going to see this little flap right here, that little accordion tab. You'll see it between there. There are a couple of options for fixing that. You can either glue these 2 pages together and make them a pocket so that it's not visible, or you could put a separate item in here, a single page maybe, to cover it up, and create a pocket if you wanted. So let's go ahead and experiment with that. I have my guillotine cutter to the side here. You can't see it because it's off camera, but that's what I'm going to be using to make my cuts. I don't want to move it back and forth just because it's so big and bulky. It's a huge X-Acto. It's the big 12 by 12. So, or it cuts the 12 by 12 paper, so it's a large one. But it is my favorite, and so I've moved it over to use it for this. I really, really like those pumpkins. But I don't need to be so particular right now. I need to just get this done, right? So I think that I'm going to create maybe a pocket up on the top. I'm going to do a top pocket. So let me cut a little notch in there. Let me ink this up. I didn't ink up my last one. I was using the Prima Luna collection, and I just the black on that is just such a soft, very muted kind of a black, and I didn't want to interfere with that, so I left it alone and didn't ink up any edges. But on this one, I feel like it needs inked edges. Okay. I'm not putting score tape here, and the reason I'm gluing it instead of putting score tape is it's attached securely on this side with the score tape. And anytime I create pockets like that, I really don't like to use tape because I don't want the items that I'm going to be placing inside there. I don't want those to get stuck in that tape. All right, let me hold that down for a second. We'll hold that in place. Okay, and then I can choose to do whatever I want with the next one. So if I wanted to place another page here, and I could, you know, it would open up, then I would attach it here and keep going. See that? Or I could choose to do something else, and maybe I'll create a little pocket there. So let me look for something kind of nice and neutral. This is cute. These pumpkins are cute. And I'm trying to decide if I want something that's going to sit in this way or if I want it to, you know, I might do that. That's cute, right? I like those stripes. Okay, so let me cut this down. And I don't, you know what? I don't think I thought this one through. I don't think I did, because I ended up cutting it a little bit shorter, and now one of them was going to be visible on the other side. But my thought is that I could place this here and then put that there like this and make a pocket here. And I think I can. I think I'm just going to reverse it. I think I'm going to reverse the pocket and do it this way. I think that I'm going to create a little notch here. Okay, that is what I will do. So I hope that you can see now how you can really customize this to make it your own. And I really don't want to do the glue since I'm making a pocket, so let's just adhere it to this side. So I'm going to put my tape in here. Let me line this up, because I did do 7. So it should line up. Okay. And then I'm going to flip this over. And now I'm going to put glue this way and here. And then let's put this together. And you want to line these up. So you want to make sure they're lined up on the edges and that they're both also down on this tab, nice and tight. Okay, so now you can see that. I think it's lined up. If it's not, it's okay. I can trim it, but I believe that that's lined up. So there we go. Now we have a pocket, and so we've got it nice and secure, and you can't see that tab anymore. So on to the next one. And this is what I was talking about, where you can do single-sided papers. So you could put single-sided papers on here, and if you're not concerned with that tab showing, then there's really not any trouble. So let's go ahead and add another one of these black pages. All right. I'm going to burnish this down. This is the method of binding, of accordion binding that I am more familiar with. When I did that accordion binding with the Prima, that was the first time I had done that method. There was definitely some learning to go along with that, and I did point those out in that video. So if you're interested in watching that tutorial with that method of accordion binding, then I will link that down below in the description so that you can take that, you can check that out and see what I did there. And see that it's not quite down enough. So I want to make sure it's all the way into that groove, that it's down in that fold. Didn't quite get as much wiggle room as I had hoped before that completely adhered, but it looks like I'm all right. I really don't like that showing like that. I'm going to pull this up and I am going to adjust. So I really want that down all the way to the edge. All right, let me put my glue back on and try this again. And that glue makes this whole process a little bit more forgiving. There we go. All right. So then this is what our book looks like so far. So we've got an open page. We've got a pocket up here. We have a pocket here. Now we have another open page. So this project is nice in particular if you are going to pull out a bunch of sheets that you want to work with. If you want to pull out, you know, your envelopes, your tags, any papers that you happen to be working on at the moment, some of your art journal papers, your scrap papers. If you wanted to do nothing but adhere a bunch of these little black booklets like this, or whatever color you wanted to use, if you wanted to do nothing but adhere them across this whole thing and add your items that way, then that would be a great way to do it as well. Sorry if I seem distracted. I keep looking over to make sure that this puppy is going to be here. She is the queen of the snatch and run. And if I'm not keeping an eye on her, she will grab stuff and take off. So this has just been a mess to line up. This is not as fiddly if you're doing things at different sizes. This is just because I'm doing this all at 7 inches. And so I really want it to line up. And it's, and it's really not that big of a deal because I can always go through and trim the edges. That's always an option. So I don't know why I'm fiddling with it as much as I am, but there you go. All right. So before I continue on, let me take a look at this and let's see what we've got here. So this is a cute little journal. And if we wanted to stop there, we definitely could. But I want to continue. Well, we'd have to add something else here, but I want to continue. So I'd be interested in knowing which of these methods that you liked better. If you've just decided after watching me do both of these that you're like, no, that's not for me at all. Or if after watching me do this, you're like, yes, I'm leaning towards one or the other. I mean, at the end of the day, the look of the binding is still the same. It's just different ways to attach your papers. And I think that one is a little bit easier, you know, than the other, but they both look great. And honestly, I think that there's room. I think that there's room for both of them in your, set of binding skills, because I believe that this one is a really good method depending on the types of papers that you have. For instance, if you had a lot of single-sided papers that you wanted to bind in a book and you didn't want to take the time to, ink up all the back sides, do all the color washes and all of that, the tea dyes and stuff, if you didn't want to mess with all of that, because I don't know about you guys, I don't particularly care for, and this is just my personal preference, I don't care for the whites of the paper to show. I just don't. If there's a pattern paper and it's white on the other side, I just don't like that stark white in the middle of a journal. And it is definitely just a personal preference. There are times when it fits the whole aesthetic and it's totally fine. It's appropriate when it fits the journal. But for the most part, it's not something that I like, that I find pleasing personally. So I keep getting this turned around and I don't know why. It's just me. Okay, so this is the perfect width, but I think that I'm going to cut it down in length a little bit. Or am I? I didn't want to mess with having to... No, I can line it up. I can line it up. It'll be fine. Let me ink these edges. Anyhow, I do think that, like I said, I do think that this is definitely something that both methods are good to have in your binding arsenal. Definitely. I think that there's use for both of them. I like binding. Initially, it was very intimidating for me, like I said, and then along the way, I've picked up a lot of different methods, and I enjoy playing around with binding. I don't get super complicated with a lot of my binding. Okay, I apologize for that awkward pause. I had a delivery and they rang the bell and it notified on my phone, so it started vibrating in the middle of all of that. I apologize. So, I don't even know what I was talking about. I know that I was talking about binding, and I think that I was saying that it was, I think that there is room for both of these methods of applying your papers to the accordion binding in your arsenal, in your binding arsenal. I think I was saying that I don't particularly I haven't gotten too complicated, I don't think. I've gotten a little fussy, but nothing too complicated. There are several binding methods that I would like to use, or I'd like to give a try. I like the look of the, is it Coptic binding? I like the look of that. I would like to give that a try. I also like, okay, sorry, I need to concentrate, so I'm gonna pause for just a minute here and try to get this lined up. Okay, so now I've extended my book. Now I can continue to add pages to this journal. So let's go ahead and take a look. So if I keep going, and this is the thing, you don't have to stop. There's no one saying that you can keep going and going and going, and you could have a 3 or 4 inch spine on this book or more if that's what you were going for. I've got a lot of room here to play around, so I'm not going to continue it, I think, too much further, but I am going to add a few more of these. I do want it to be a little bit bigger. I think I'm going to add on this side of it though. So there is the, I think it's Coptic binding. I think that's what it's called, that stitch. And then I've seen recently some people doing some of the slip knot binding. So I think I'd like to try that one. I don't think that that one's too fussy. Is right after you get used to it, it's just a matter of learning the actual knotting and then getting that going. If there are any binding methods that you guys would recommend that you like, that you haven't seen yet or have seen me do yet, or that you're interested in, if you'd like for me to give those a try, I'm willing to do that. Just put them down below and I can search them out, and it would be fun. It would be fun to give it a try. I do like newer methods. All right, so I think that I am going to continue with this, placing my pages and everything, and then I am going to come back, because you don't need to continue seeing this. It's much of the same over and over again until I've got a completed book. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. Once I come to a stopping point, though, I'll be back and we'll attach the covers. Okay, so I have added all of my pages and pieces, and now I'm going to stop here. This feels like a good stopping point to me. And then I am going to cut right here, because again, I want this flap up. So I need the valleys, or the side, to go up here. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it. Let me fold it out, that'll be easier. There we go. All right, so this is how I'm going to attach the cover. So what I did go ahead and do is cut down my chipboard to, and this is 5 by 7 is how I've been measuring this one. These pages are all 5 by 7. So I cut my chipboard just slightly bigger. I cut it 7 1/8 by 5 1/8. So you can cut it the exact size if you want, or make it much bigger. I mean, that's totally up to you. I liked the look of it with the other journal that I did, where it was pretty close to the same size, and that I just liked the look and feel of it. Let me show you. So again, here I cut just slightly over, and I love the feel of this. So this one, I'm going to show you how to do this a little bit differently. On this binding, we went ahead and took the accordion paper and wrapped it over the chipboard so that it kind of hugged it. And so it's on that side. So we had to kind of put it in there and really burnish it down good, because the chipboard obviously is much thicker, so it kind of resists being flush in there. But I feel like this is a nice solid binding. And on this one, I'm going to show you that you can actually attach it on the inside if that's the look that you want. I've seen it done both ways. I prefer the hug. I don't know why. I just do. To me, it just feels a little sturdier, I guess. So that is what I prefer, but it both will work. I went ahead and made sure that everything was lined up really well. And, you know, I had some that were like slightly off, just so slightly though. If it was something that really bothered you, once you were done with this, you could take your straight edge, your ruler, and you could go through with your X-Acto blade and just kind of, I just lost my blade. You could go through with your X-Acto blade and just kind of trim those up, but mine are pretty cool. They're pretty flush, so I'm not really worried about it. Okay, so I've got tape and glue. I want a good amount of glue, and I was talking, so I've allowed this to dry some. I do want a good amount of glue in there though. And then I am going to line this up and put it down on the inside of the board. Let me pick this up and see if I've got a good alignment. I do. Feels good. Looks good. Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. Let me put some of my tape down. And I think I might have called this score tape at one point. It's not, it's just double-sided tape. I used to use a lot of that really thick and nice red line tape. My puppy's snoring again. I used to use a lot of that nice red line tape. And I need to get some more. I haven't had any in my stash for quite some time. I did like using it to attach ribbon to stuff back in the day, to cards and things. I really have never used it for junk journaling. I used it for card making quite a bit, but it's a nice thick adhesive. Okay. And then I want to make sure that this is lined up front and back, front and back. And it looks good. Okay. So then why don't we take a quick flip through of this. So I believe this is the front. It is not. Okay, so quick flip through. So this you'll cover. Eventually, you know, when I get through to decorating, I'll have an inside piece, and so it will cover up that piece right there, and it will help to reinforce that hinge. So, and then of course you've got all this blank space in here where you can add stuff to these pages. Here's a pocket here. Let me see, there are a lot of pockets in here, so let me just grab a little piece so I can show you. Okay, so there was a pocket here, and then this was a nice pocket. I could see a nice big journaling card in there. And then more real estate pocket here. This was a pocket for a nice big tag. See, look at all this real estate. This is really, really a lot of room. Pocket here, pocket here, pocket here. More spots, pocket here. More spots for stuff. I just left this plain. I was thinking maybe of doing a belly band on it or something. I don't know. I've got tons of pockets, but pocket here, and then just more real estate, and then end of the book. I guess I could probably take that sticker off. Okay. And then there you go. So it still has that nice squishy binding just like the other did. And it will just expand. It will really become an alligator mouth once I put everything in it and get it loaded up with lots and lots of goodies. But that's the way it sits, and it looks good. You can also, like I had explained in others, once you've got it here just for aesthetic reasons or purposes, a lot of people will put, you know, fabric on the outside of it, ribbon, paper, just to kind of hold it. And again, it looks pretty that way, but it'll keep it from doing this right here. But anyhow, if that's an option, if that's something that you like in the decorating process, you can also do that to help reinforce kind of that spine there. But it doesn't like move a whole lot. Like it's in there pretty solid, so it doesn't like do the twisty thing this way. It's just kind of bendy this way. But with all of that paper in this section, that's to be expected. So it really doesn't cause an issue. But we have got a ton of real estate in here. Again, I left these open and didn't glue them together. If you wanted to glue the insides of these mountains, you could, so that it stayed nice and flush, a little bit tighter like this, and this is how your book would look. It would still open up just fine. I may go back and do that. I don't know. But it might not allow you to fill this book up as much as you would like. So I leave it open because I like the squishy feel of it. I also want to be able to add stuff to this book without stressing this spine out too much. So I leave it open. And then if there are spots that I think need to be closed up, I can always go back and do that later. So that doesn't have to be done up front. That's totally a personal preference. But anyhow, So I hope that you enjoyed this, that you've learned something about accordion binding. And now that I've shown you a style that I'm more familiar with, this is super, super easy. You saw how quickly that came together. This is great for, like I said, single-sided papers that you can make pockets with them. You know, just put one on one side of the tab, one on the other side of the tab, make a pocket, just make one solid page that you can flip back and forth. You can add as many of these accordions as possible and just continue this book till you've got a really big chunky book if you wanted. It's a beautiful binding. I really think that it's something special. It's a little bit different and unique when people see it. But I hope that you're willing to give it a try. Either one of them, the one with the nice slits in it, or this one where you can just attach the papers to the accordion folds itself. And let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And until next time, bye.